Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sticks and Bricks, a podcast that takes you behind the scenes of luxury custom home building. With me, Sherwin Loudermilk, your host and president of Loudermilk Custom Homes, where we believe in the mantra, build it like it's yours. Have you ever wondered what goes into creating a custom dream home? Well, you're in the right place. In each episode, we'll dive deep into building science processes and construction business practices through interviewing leaders in the industry. We'll discuss the world of home design and construction by sharing stories, insights, and the secrets that make Loudermilk Homes the leader in Georgia and Western North Carolina. And here's something special for you. Stay tuned at the end of each episode for our Builder Pro Tips segment. We'll provide actual items and insights for you to use on your own projects, so you can turn inspiration into action. At Sticks and Bricks, we want to make your journey into luxury custom home building both informative and practical. So buckle up, get ready for a fascinating ride through the world of custom luxury home design and construction. Let's build something extraordinary together. Welcome to Sticks and Bricks. Hello, Mary Jane. How are you?
I'm great this morning. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for attending our podcast on Sticks and Bricks.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to sit down.
So for those of you watching, Mary Jane Credeur, who I call MJ, has been working with us for just over 7 years now. And she has been critical to our success in marketing, specifically around the back end side of what we do for marketing. But before getting started, MJ, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and how you started the Credeur Group.
Well, thank you so much, Sherwin. So I spent the first 15 years of my career as a financial journalist, got into business journalism and worked at Bloomberg News for about a decade. It was a great way to earn sort of an MBA in the trenches, as they like to call it. I covered the beverage industry, so Coke, Pepsi, Starbucks, and also the beer and liquor companies, which was fascinating. And they were going through a lot of consolidation. Anheuser-Busch was merging with InBev and Miller was merging with Coors. And then I ended up following the airline industry and the transportation industry for about 6 or 7 years. And incidentally, all of the airlines were going through post 9/11 bankruptcy and consolidation as well. So you had Delta and Northwest merging, you had United and Continental merging, you had American Airlines and US Airways merging, and it was just this frenzy. And it was a fascinating time working for Bloomberg for about a decade. At the time, Mike Bloomberg was also mayor of New York. So that was an interesting era to be at Bloomberg while Bloomberg was mayor of the city. And from there, I became the director of intelligence for a commercial real estate company, helping investigate the financial objectives and drivers of tenants, the large occupiers of space, and then counterparty intelligence on the landlord and the owners of the assets, because they all have very different motivations. And, some of them might be a publicly traded REIT just trying to throw off a 6.5% dividend yield, or it might be somebody who's more concerned about the cap rate or about the exit strategy or the planning of the sunset of a fund or a sovereign fund or a TIAA CREF might own an asset. And they all have different objectives. So when you understand what the tenant wants and what the landlord wants, you can take this arbitrage approach to deal structuring and do some really interesting things with rent and tenant improvement allowances. And, do they have must take on space or do they have right of first offer if they're expanding? And so I did that for a few years, and I started to have this entrepreneurial itch to scratch and decided to go ahead and start my own firm back in 2017. And actually, Loudermilk Homes, you were one of my very first clients back then. Company Loudermilk Homes was pretty small then. It was about a third of the size as it is now. You hadn't yet bought out the remaining lots in the Manor Golf and Country Club, which we'll talk about. We can circle back around to that in a little bit, but you hadn't started the Cashiers and Highlands division yet. You had much fewer staff members. It was a leaner, meaner operation. And you were still in your early days as well. And I remember you saying in that very first meeting, I think we can grow together. I think we're both a diamond in the rough and we can pull out the best of each other and grow in lockstep. And here we are 7+ years later. So yeah,
It's been such a great ride. And thank you so much. You've been instrumental in our growth, definitely by our branding and taking our company to the next level of making sure that we're getting our message out correctly. And there's been a lot of trials and tribulations, right? So we went in and decided, okay, let's put some money towards social media. And then we realized, okay, maybe that's not the best way for our company to spend money. And then we started saying, okay, where else can we place the spend? So I think we ended up deciding that Google was probably one of the most important spots to put money for advertising purposes. But how important is branding to you and how we've been successful at branding. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And it's so important, right? Every company, whether they realize it or not, even small startups, even mom and pop operations, you do have brand, you do have awareness, and it might not be something that you value or see the importance of in the early days. And you're just trying to like make a buck and get profitable and stop hemorrhaging money. And can you turn a profit and cover payroll in the early days? And the Loudermilk brand started very bootstrapped, very lean and mean. You know, you guys had a logo that you'd gotten kind of off of one of the marketplaces that someone designed for you. And it was okay. It got the job done for a few years,
It
but
cost us $99. At first, I remember that, and I thought it was so good until I realized that probably 50 other builders have the exact same logo.
I wasn't going to go there. I was going to out you and throw you under the bus on that. But no, yeah, exactly. And but to your point, it got the job done in the first years, the early years, right? You didn't at the time. You didn't really need a professionally created brand. And once you realized that it was kind of off the shelf art that someone had made, and you were able to put your name on, and you get what you pay for. You paid $99 for that first logo. And then we discovered that probably 50 other small builders across the country had the same logo with different colors and a different name. And so investing in this beautiful logo that you have right now, and it's black and it's got gold and gray accents, and it's powder milk is front and center. It's your name on the door. It's your brand. And it looks luxurious. It looks fancy. It looks like something that you'd find in an upscale boutique on a clothing label or, on a watch or maybe a fine bottle of wine. And that branding matters a lot. And to your point, we invest a lot in Google ads, and we'll talk a little bit more about SEO and the importance of that in a minute. And also social media. We've put our shoulder back into social media in a strong way these last couple of years, and it pays off too. But a lot of that is to drive traffic back to the website. And so the website is still your single most valuable asset that you have. Your numbers are ridiculous. People spend minutes and minutes and they're clicking through 10, 12, 18 pages and they're staying there. The average session is several minutes long. And that's really rare. Oftentimes people are happy if they get 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Did they come? Did they buy my Warby Parker glasses? Did they come? Did they buy my mattress? Did they come? Did they buy that pair of pants they saw? And in our case, when you meet with clients for the first time, we hear all the time, I've been stalking you guys for 2 or 3 years. And I knew when my husband got that raise, or when I sold my business and had enough money, or when I felt financially secure enough, I was going to build a house with Loudermilk. And
Right.
that's huge to have, that kind of mind share. You're living rent free in their heads for a couple of years, and they're coming back to the site and they're spending a lot of time there.
And it was interesting. You talked about the brand. So we are a high end luxury custom brand. So we build for the one percenters, and so we have to brand ourselves accordingly, right? And so you helped with that, with the design of the website and the focus of the website, but also how do you connect with those one percenters better? So tell us a little bit about how we did that. Like define for the audience, what is SEO and why did we embark on this SEO journey? And then how did we become one of the top ranked companies on SEO?
Yeah. So great question. So SEO is the holy grail in this day and age where we live, both on search terms, what people are looking for, and then search engine optimization. When you type in something in your browser in Google or in Safari or Firefox, whatever you use, and what are the first results? And oftentimes you're seeing paid sponsorship ads or paid stuff up front, and then you're seeing organic search immediately below that, and getting into those top spots for organic search. You've earned it. People have come to your website. They've spent time there. They've linked to your website from somewhere else. They revisit it again months later or weeks later. That helps lift you up in those rankings. And you've got to have the right content for it. If you are trying to get the search terms custom home builder, and then people come to your website and you're building, kind of production tract houses that cost a couple $100,000, they're going to click away immediately because that's not what they were looking for. So it has to be true and authentic. It has to be the actual thing that they're looking for. And once they come, are they interested? Are they clicking through to other pages? Are they staying there and scrolling down and reading through it? Are they learning more about you as a business? And behind Loudermilk Homes is an incredibly heavy website. We've got hundreds of pages. You only see maybe 50 of them in the navigation among the photo galleries and the About Us pages and our 9-step process to perfection. You only see kind of the tip of that iceberg. But indexed within the website are lots of long form article pages about our process and what it's like to choose the right kind of builder, making sure it's the right culture fit for you, for your lifestyle. Do you trust them? Do they have a good reputation? Do they have a process that's pretty clear? Do they offer transparency? How do they work with you? And people, we've spent years developing that content and getting the right keywords in there. Sometimes people are looking for custom home builder. Sometimes they're looking for luxury home builder. Sometimes it's just custom builder, but not home. But how do we make sure that we're ranking in there? And it's interesting. A lot of our clients are in the Atlanta area already, or Cashiers and Highlands area already, but some of them are not. Some of them are relocating from Chicago or LA or something, and they're looking to come to Atlanta for work. Maybe they work for UPS and they're getting relocated here, or Home Depot or Delta or any, Synovus Bank. Sometimes they're here and they're needing to come here. They need a house pretty quickly. They want to get kids in schools, good districts, good parts of town. And so it's important that you reach those people in other markets as well. So we do spend some of our Google ad dollars targeting some of those other cities, but we do very much want to identify as we build homes here. We don't build in Chicago. We don't build in LA. We don't build in Dallas. We build in Metro Atlanta and Cashiers and Highlands. And so we want, when people are looking to come here or looking to buy a house within the city, we want to rank highly. So we spend a lot of our powder right there.
Right. And what I love about what you've done with these extra pages, and I don't think a lot of, definitely not builders, but maybe even other companies don't understand this, is that those pages that you have connected to our website that there are no links to get to, they're in the background just for search purposes. And so when people start searching, they can, if they really dive into a search, now that's coming up on our website and they can get linked to that page, which automatically takes them to our website. And so when you type in, custom builder Atlanta, best custom builder Atlanta, or best luxury builder Atlanta, we're usually right at the top, if definitely on the first page. I know in Cashiers, we've been there 3 years, and finally, after enough time, because SEO takes a little bit of time, we're now ranked amongst one of the top in Cashiers as well. When somebody types in Cashiers best custom home builder.
Yeah. And to your point, it takes years to get that. I mean, you can start seeing some results within a few months, but you've got to have written content that's meaningful too. So we're not just talking about luxury homes and Cashiers. We're also talking about great hiking and nature and the waterfalls and the local brew pub and the pizza place and the farmer's market and other things to do in Cashiers that help sell the whole area. We're not just talking about ourselves. We're talking about the aesthetic. What does modern rustic mean? What does a modern European addition to a rustic background look like? And we're talking about overall styles and things to do in the area and how it's an easy drive market and the climate is beautiful and the natural flora and fauna of the area. And we're it's not just about the homes. The homes are important and that's a big piece of what we do, but it's also what's the whole ecosystem there why Cashiers? Why not some other city? There are lots of cities in the mountains. There's Asheville and there's all these other places along the Blue Ridge Parkway. What makes that special and unique? And a big piece of it is that aesthetic, is that lifestyle that you can have there, that sense of peace and tranquility that you get when you drive in and leave the cares of home and work behind.
I love it. So our strategy has been that we really want to bring people to our website, right? Kind of what we've been talking about. SEO does that by search terms, but then there's also Google ads. So can you tell the listeners, what's the difference between a Google ad and the SEO?
Well, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. We spend most of our marketing dollars on Google ads. It's the best bang for the buck by far. And we do a combination of both search SEO on Google, where you're typing in keywords and we're wanting to get best custom builder, best luxury builder, but then it's also retargeting and display ads. So once they've searched for best custom builder, they might click on our website or not. They might click on a word ad, a text ad that we have or not. But depending on their own data selection and cookies and their own data profile and what information Google is gathering, they then might see display retargeting ads that kind of follow them around and trail them sort of like little puppy at their ankles as they go along daily life. So next time they might be looking for Atlanta United tickets or the Braves game or looking for a new blender for their kitchen. And they might still see a Loudermilk ad that kind of comes and presents itself in front of them again a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later. And that's pretty effective as well. We have a lot of really beautiful imagery from homes that we've built, from specific spaces in the house, kitchens. Every one of our kitchens is inspired by gourmet chef requirements and the high end. It's the Wolf stove and the Sub-Zero fridge and big oversized islands, and the owner's bathrooms are spa inspired. And so they're really beautiful images that people click on and want to see. They want to see that gorgeous. It gets them fantasizing about what they would like their kitchen to look like someday, or what they would look like their home to look like. So, so we spend a fair amount of time on that. And there's some additional strategy behind it where sometimes folks might be looking for another builder's name, perhaps, and that might draw them to our page. There's some interesting things we can do with some additional keyword targeting and trying to, folks who maybe don't think they can afford a Loudermilk home, and then they might get drawn in and decide, yeah, maybe they can afford it after all, and bringing some new people into that marketplace where we might not have been on their consideration set, or maybe they didn't know about us because they're not in this area. So it's a really effective way for us to bring people in. And we've spent years refining this and targeting certain areas, other cities where we know a lot of people relocate, especially corporate executives and other business owners, entertainers, professional athletes. We've spent a lot of time refining that strategy over years, and it's really a well-oiled machine now.
And that's what it takes, little tweaks here and there, right? It's not a one stop fits everybody, right? You have to understand your clients. You have to understand how your clients work. Somebody that's selling much lower end product houses, right? Starter homes, they probably wouldn't take our same strategy. They'd probably be focused on Instagram, right? And focused on where their clients spend more time on.
Completely different, right? And you're exactly right. And we're constantly going in and tweaking that and looking what keywords are trending right now and what's up and what's down. Actually, funny enough, during the 2008, 2009 financial crisis in this industry, we saw luxury home foreclosure was a keyword that people were looking for, or luxury homes for cheap. That's not us. That's not who we are, right? And during COVID, we saw this interest in an extra dual offices at home because people were working from home. They needed a place for kids to do schoolwork. So we really saw some of those search terms. We'd never seen dual offices before. That's not a search term but all of a sudden, like the top one. And so how did we capitalize on that and weave that in? And then nowadays, it's not as much of a top keyword term. Kitchens, it's back to bathrooms, it's outdoor living spaces, it's pools. And so we go in and we touch and polish those keywords pretty regularly. We also look at where people are coming in from. Are they coming in from mobile or desktop? What time of day are they searching? One of our Loudermilk's most active times on both social media and website is Sunday evening, which absolutely makes sense, right? The weekend's done. You've been doing your yard work and cleaning and doing family life. And it's Sunday, you've had dinner. Kids are probably taking showers or in bed. You're sitting down and having a glass of wine and you're thinking, man, I wish I had a bigger house. And that's when they start fantasizing about, what do I want my next house to be? They start dreaming, they start thinking big thoughts. And that's one of our most active times.
Let's move on to social media. So YouTube being the second largest search engine, right? A lot of video there. We also heavy on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We dabble in some others, House, Pinterest, things of that nature, but really those are our top four. We've created a YouTube channel, if you will. It's a page on Loudermilk Homes and all the videos that we've done. And it's interesting how, everyone always says picture's worth 1,000 words, but video is worth 1,000 pictures, and videos become the new norm. And so a lot of what we're doing are videos and putting it on YouTube and even capturing that on Facebook and Instagram. I think our clientele leans a little bit more towards Facebook than Instagram, just because of the age bracket of the type of clients that buy for us. But you want to talk just briefly about the four different mediums of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and when somebody would utilize one versus the other.
Yeah, and that's a great observation. And they're all different, right? They're almost like children, right? Each child is a little bit different needs, different attitudes, different ways of behaving, different things that they need to support and thrive and grow. And you're exactly right. Facebook was our OG, our original social media platform that we spent a lot of time and effort on. And for a long time, it was a still photo. It was a single photo. There was a little caption or intro to it, and that was it. And there were a couple of photos that were our best performers by far. There was one particular sunroom that's beautifully decorated, has gorgeous furniture. And every time we ran that photo, we'd run it 2, 3, 4 times a year. It would just get the most attention of any photo we'd ever run the entire year long. Better than bathrooms, better than kitchens, better than facades. Like, people loved that room. And it looked inviting and welcoming year round. It looked relaxing, like you could sit there and read a book or sit there and have a glass of scotch or something. It was just, you wanted to walk into that room and sit down. And so Facebook was our first platform that we spent a lot of time and effort on. And then Instagram came along and, that was much more photo driven. At first, it really didn't even have video at all. So that was the beautiful archive and library of photos we had played really well to the Instagram space. It was a little bit of a younger audience, not super, Loudermilk as a brand is not quite as uber trendy as some of the Instagram influencers that took off at first. And you're exactly right. Our audience, our demographic, the age they're in, they tend to skew a little heavier toward Facebook as users. But we decided that Instagram was important. And then LinkedIn became important as well. Clients, prospective clients would come there and actually check out your background. Like, who's this Sherwin guy? And how did a guy who used to work at IBM all of a sudden develop this home building business? Like, that's interesting. And they would start looking at your bio and the background of
And LinkedIn being more of the business side,
professional. Right, exactly.
technical questions. It's not as, there are pictures on there, but it's less about the fun aspects of it, more about the business aspects of it.
That's right. And it's interesting. So in addition to looking at your background, people are looking on LinkedIn, they're looking at awards that we've won and things like your involvement as a mentor for Georgia State University. And you're serving on the board of advisors for Georgia Tech's construction management program. And the fact that you won the National Association of Home Builders, you were a finalist for the Custom Home Builder of the Year, and the OB awards that you're winning for design, and to the Greater Atlanta Home Builders Association, serving on these committees. You're the president of the Inner Atlanta chapter for the Greater Atlanta Home Builders. So they're coming through LinkedIn, they're looking at professional cred, your credibility in that space, and that grown-ups run the show and they've got a little gray hair and they've been doing this a long time. And that gives people a sense of what it's like to work here as well. When we have a lunch and learn with vendors from Parksite, our distributor for Tyvek and other building products. They're looking there for your professional chops. So that's a completely different platform than a Facebook or an Instagram. And then we've had a YouTube channel for years, but candidly, we really didn't do much with it at all until about 3 years ago. We had a few videos there. We would occasionally think about posting something. This past year, you had the brilliant foresight to hire a young guy who's good into video and photography and media. And he's been a huge asset to the company, helping build out that channel, doing walkthroughs of homes, flyovers, drone footage, interior 360s, getting you and some of the other leaders of Loudermilk Homes on camera, talking about our process and how we do things, and really giving the people a sense of like, what is it like to work with us? What's it like when a client signs up, they're signing up for a 2-year commitment of working with us, from design and inspiration through construction and the final punch list and maintenance afterward and warranty stuff. This is a 2-year engagement, and people want to work with people who are fun to work with and who, can laugh a little bit and but they're professional and they have things buttoned up, but they are you good guys to work with. And it's a great way for us to show people what it's like to do business with us.
Much easier to tell a story over a video, right? Words on the screens that people see. You can interact. You're not interacting with them, but you're seeing how they work on a day-to-day basis. So absolutely. So yeah, YouTube's been very large for us recently as we've been embarking on more and more videos, which is great. It's getting a lot more attention from clients out there.
That's right. And this fall, of course, we're also launching the Beyond the Blueprints docuseries, which is something we've never done before. It takes people behind the scenes, truly beyond the blueprints of what is it like to do a project with us. How do we approach architecture? How do we approach design, choosing selections and engineering? We have this pre-construction process that has 500 points to it to go through, and soil and grading and engineering and permitting and all the things before we even turn a shovel of dirt, right? So all of that work that will help guide people through that entire process. And what's it like to do a build? And we talk about people looking at our website for a couple of years before deciding to build with us. This will be a whole new element of putting them in the room with us, and almost like they're a fly on the wall and can see how these things work before they even pick up the phone and talk to us for the first time.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a really fun docuseries in the making, right? About our company and how to build a home. So, and then let's talk about the last thing on marketing is really the print ads. So we rarely pay for a print ad. but we're in a lot of publications. And I think that's a testament to your success of helping us get into actual articles, right? Instead of paid advertising. What do you see as the difference between them, and why do we feel like it's so much better to actually have an article written about us than to just pay for it to be in a magazine?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Mainstream media, print media, traditional media, I'm sad to say it because I started my career that way. It's a dying industry. I mean, it is shrinking, it's contracting. So much has gone to digital only. Even some of the best, most respected magazines around, we've read for years, don't even issue a print edition anymore. It's all just digital. And that is probably the future of where it's going to continue to go. Digital, even a standalone, just an ad in any magazine, any newspaper, it's like a little mini billboard, right? You see it for a quick second while you're driving down the highway, and maybe your eye catches it, maybe not, while you're flipping pages, as opposed to, I would much rather, from a PR and a marketing standpoint, I'd much rather have us be written about in the articles in that magazine. We can supply beautiful photos. We can talk about trends and design. We can talk about the building science behind it and how we do value engineering. We can bring some meat to the table for the articles, and we can contribute this great content and thought leadership and expertise to help inform people, rather than just this ad that's this one hit flash in the pan that people may or may not even see. And the other thing I love about having us in the article itself, and we sometimes ghostwrite articles and supply that, or provide that to partners for their blogs or to newspapers or magazines that are hungry for content. The great thing about that too is it lives in their archives and it's searchable. So that helps SEO as well. They're going to link to our website from their digital magazine or from the archive of their digital magazine. And over time, someone might be looking for kitchen trends 2020, and then they might see Loudermilk Homes pop up in association with that article that they're looking for. And that could bring that person back to us. So, there's so much more goodness to be had from earned media, they call it, earned media coverage, and having us featured in an article, even if it's just a couple paragraphs in part of a broader article, it's so much more impactful than just an ad that's not going to have, by definition, an ad can't have very many words. It's short on content. It's visually driven. And ads have a place. We've occasionally run an ad in like a visitor's guide or a Chamber of Commerce guidebook when we're trying to build brand awareness in a new market like Cashers. But other than that, I mean, it really is, for us as a brand, for our strategy, for what we're doing, an actual article with some content behind it and some meat to it is far more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will leave it to you for the last word. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with the listeners?
No, I think it would be a great pro tip for us this week to talk a little bit about that multi-pronged strategy for marketing. You want to have a very robust website backed by some SEO dollars that can be both search terms and some retargeting with visuals. Each social media platform has its place. You don't necessarily, nor should you, run the exact same photo and the exact same caption or image across all of them. Let them each be their own unique thing. Treat them like individual children with individual personalities, and developing that brand voice and constantly refining it and tweaking it and polishing it and letting it get more sophisticated over time, letting it come into its own and grow up as a brand and as a voice. That's really important as well.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Mary Jane, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for the last 7.5 years. Mary Jane Credeur with the Credeur Group. If any of you need help with your SEO or marketing, a lot of technical marketing aspects, feel free to reach out to her and her team, and she can really help take you to the next level. So thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot, Sherwin. Have a great rest of the day.
All right.
All right.
I hope you found these tips valuable. If you have questions or want to share your experiences, please reach out. We're here to support you. Thank you for being part of Sticks and Bricks, and stay tuned for more inspiration. Make sure to subscribe below. Until next time, I'm Sherwin Loudermilk signing off. Thank you for listening.